Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we have ourselves some new Ninjago Dragons Rising concept art brought to us by LEGO concept artist Mike Rayhawk. Recently, he posted on his Twitter a large variety of Ninjago Dragons Rising concept art since the first episodes of Ninjago Dragons Rising have been out for quite some time, and these images date back apparently to 2020, so they've been working on Ninjago Dragons Rising for quite some time. In today's video, I will be going through all of the concept art that was revealed in this Twitter thread because there is a lot to talk about and there are a lot of interesting concepts that never made it to the final stages of production. So first of all, we have some early concept art for the character of Aaron, who I guess was originally going to be called Max. Mike Rayhawk says this was probably changed to avoid confusion with the LEGO Life character, who's also called Max, and Aaron was originally more streetwise and slick, still self-taught with homemade ninja suits and gadgets. And yeah, the art here is very much different from what we expect from Aaron now. The color scheme of orange and yellow did not exist at this stage. Instead, Aaron was more purple, teal, gray, those colors. And especially in terms of the second image here, that very much looks like little Nelson from Ninjago crystallized. So part of me wonders if a lot of this concept was reworked from Aaron to Nelson's outfit for Ninjago crystallized, because it looks very similar. Here we have some early concepts for the racing mechs. Mike Rayhawk clarifies that they went through a bunch of concepts for transforming vehicles before they ended up on the final design for the racing mechs. And as you can see here, we have a lot of interesting concept art featuring robots transforming into various cars. I'm sure a lot of these concepts were inspired by various parts of the Transformers mythos. As a Transformers fan, I recognize quite a bit here. Next up, we have an original design for Sora. Mike Rayhawk clarifies, and there's Sora. I'm glad she made it in. Originally non-human and kitsune rather than cat-themed as a callback to Lloyd's friend Akita from a couple of seasons earlier. So yeah, this concept art here is very similar to Akita. These characters look really close to each other, and I'm glad that Sora's design went a little bit more out there and became a little bit more original, because if Sora was originally supposed to be Akita inspired, why wouldn't they have just made it Akita? We also still have Sora's mech bike here as well, only in the concepts it's more so just an actual motorcycle, not necessarily a mech, but still it's kind of awkward to imagine that Sora was originally supposed to be Kitsune inspired, as a callback to Akita. Kind of a strange decision, so I'm glad they went ahead and changed that to the Sora that we know and love today. Next up, we have a concept for Ryu, Mike Rayhawk says, and here's Aaron's baby dragon pal Ryu. They went with a simpler single-piece dragon, which is probably better for play purposes, plenty of buildable dragon action with the adults. And yeah, the original concept for Ryu was very much a brick-built dragon. I see a lot of recognizable LEGO pieces there. This thing was originally supposed to be a small mini build, which I suppose would have worked better for the LEGO purists out there, but I really like the Ryu design that we have right now. It's more cutesy, it's more streamlined, and it's easier to market overall. The original dragon, while being more LEGO, Ryu's final design is more so Ninjago, in my opinion. And as you can see in this concept, we have the original Ryu with the original Aaron. Quite a contrast to what we have nowadays with these two characters. These next concepts are probably the most interesting ones in the entire selection. Mike Rayhawk says, here we go, Lord Rass is in. Definitely a high point. Not quite as big as the initial concepts. Early concepts for the Imperium were originally a lot more classical in theme. We were pulling from ancient Greece, Persia, and the Mongol Khanate. And yes, as you can see, we have a couple of designs for Lord Rass, originally a big fig in both of these concepts. And Ninjago and big figs, we don't have a lot of them. We have a couple with Dogshank and Kilo, but Lord Rass originally being a big fig, part of me does kind of think that's a missed opportunity, but big figs are kind of hard to display on a shelf or a stand, at least in my experience, so I'm glad they went with a more streamlined minifigure version, but the original concepts were also pretty different in terms of what animal Lord Rass was supposed to be. The first concept was obviously a lion. That looks like a lion to me. We also have this smaller henchman looking animal. Not quite sure what animal he's supposed to be, but he does have those golden claws, and it's very much a LEGO minifigure. But the big fig for Lord Rass, that kind of looks similar to a Chima lion. And if Lord Rass is from Chima, if that's going to be a big reveal, this design would have spoiled it immediately, because this looks like a Chima lion. Kind of looks like the Chima lion legend beast. So I'm glad that they changed it if they are holding out for that big reveal. The second design is more so tiger themed, which actually is the animal that Lord Rass is now in Ninjago Dragons Rising. He is supposed to be a tiger, but this one right here is a more traditional tiger. Still a big fig, but I really like like his outfit. Nice royal purple. Like Mike Rayhawk said, they were going for a more ancient vibe, like a more classical theme, and this design represents that quite a bit, I'd say. Love the tail on the back as well. That's something that I think Lord Rass is missing from his current design. But also this concept for a big fig tiger Lord Rass has a hammer featuring the symbols of the ninja. Not sure what that would have done in terms of a story. Maybe he could harness elemental powers with that hammer, who's to say? Maybe it's a Jin Blade situation and he's trapping the ninja inside the hammer. I'm not too sure, but overall these two concepts are really well done. It's hard to think that Lord Rass was supposed to be a big fig originally. Like I said, that's partially a missed opportunity for me, but I'm really glad that they decided to go with the more streamlined minifigure for the final product, for the final design for Lord Rass. Here we have some rough concepts for Aaron's early Spinjitzu. Apparently there was a lot of brainstorming that went into this. I can see that, considering that we have a lot of concepts here regarding what that self-taught Spinjitzu would look like. And yeah, like I said earlier when talking about Aaron's original design, his early role and his early personality, those carried over to the final design for Dragon's Rising. But the physical design for Aaron and also his Spinjitzu went through a couple of different changes. But all in all, Aaron is still Aaron as he was designed all those years ago, and I think that's fantastic. I really liked looking at this self-taught Spinjitzu concept art. Feel free to pause and check out all of the details here. It is very interesting. Next up, we have some designs for Crossroads City. Mike Rayhawk says, Crossroads City, it looks like our style of exploration for the Imperium turned into Cloud City instead. There's a whole bunch of really fun architecture ideas that I'll probably never get to show because that whole storyline did not get used. Interesting. So not only do we have some rough concepts here, this is a scrapped storyline altogether. So part of me thinks that the Crossroads City was originally going to be the base of Imperium, but that changed later on down the line. Makes sense, especially if these early concepts are supposed to be the early Imperium bases. It does fit in line with some of those early Imperium people that we talked about earlier, like Lord Rass. And finally, we have some other designs for a few various characters. First of all, we have this character, the Serpentine character, who apparently, according to Mike Rayhawk, is known as Mikloshe? Mike Lochet, however you want to pronounce that, the person charmer. So a serpentine with the power to charm people. Similar to the snake charmers that exist in the real world, this serpentine would be a person charmer. Then again, that's basically what the Hypnobride do already. They charm people, they hypnotize people. Seems like this guy would have just been another Hypnobride. I can see why he was cut, but I wonder if he was replaced with anyone. Maybe this was the prototype Mr. Frohickey, who's to say. Next up, we have Dr. LaRoe, who according to Mike Rayhawk pretty much stayed true to the concepts minus the tail and the hula hoop. Yeah, those are missing from the final design for Dr. LaRoe, but still pretty interesting that a lot of those similar concepts carried over to the final design. Next up, this wolf guy right here, this was actually an early design for Raptin, but then instead of Raptin changing from a wolf guy, he turned into a guy with wolf holograms, referring to the Photax from Dragon's Rising. But originally, those two things were supposed to be one and the same, as Raptin was going to be a wolf guy, possibly from Chima, just like Lord Rass, who's to say. I really like this original design for Raptin though. You can kind of tell that he is the same Raptin that we know and love from Dragon's Rising currently. And finally we have the Good Emperor, who is obviously supposed to be an early concept for Empress Beatrix. Apparently this was an early design for the leader of Imperium, and Mike Rayhawk points out that the Good Emperor changed completely. Yeah, this is very much not how Empress Beatrix looks in the modern day, but still very interesting design. Almost looks like he's from Shintaro in a way too. I can kind of get those Shintaro vibes with this guy right here. But still, early design for Empress Beatrix. I'm glad they changed it. I really like the Beatrix design that we have currently. And with that being said, those have been all of the rough concepts for Ninjago Dragon's Rising that have been revealed thus far. Huge shout out to Mike Rayhawk over on Twitter for sharing these with all of us. A lot of these concepts are very intriguing, and it was fun to go through all of them, give my thoughts on the early designs and how they would have worked in the modern day Ninjago setting. For the most part, I do think a lot of the modern Ninjago designs for Dragon's Rising work a lot better. However, early concepts are always fun to look at, so I really hope you guys enjoyed looking at them with me for today's video, and thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below discussing which of these concepts you really enjoy, which ones are you sad never made it to the final stages of production, and how do you think Ninjago Dragon's Rising would have been different if these early concepts would have been involved. If you guys enjoyed today's video, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.